Hey, we're live. 11:11 on the East Coast. I'm George. Got my guy Robbie here. Thanks for tuning into the Savage Will podcast.
What's up, George?
Man, I'm doing good today. I was gone on vacation last week, and it was such a good vacation. Got to unplug, rewind, connect with a lot of good friends. But I'm glad to be back. We got a great topic. We're going to be talking about how the most beautiful desires in life they often come with hidden dangers. So, Robbie, why don't you kick us off a little bit and tell us a little bit about that?
So, man, I just want to start off by saying this. A couple years ago, we were privileged to be able to go to Australia, right? And Australia is absolutely the one of the most beautiful places on the planet you can ever go to, right? But the beauty of it all is this: in Australia, not only is the landscape beautiful, the water is beautiful, the whole 9 yards, but you also have on land and marine animals, you have 10 of the most dangerous things on the planet, from spiders to things in the marine life and other critters and creatures, snakes and stuff like that, that can just do all kind of harm. So, parenthetically, when you look at life, there are some beautiful things that are always occurring on the inside of our lives, things that we do on a daily basis, maybe things that we even take for granted that are absolutely beautiful, look right on the outside, but it can be concealing some things that are very dangerous to our forward progress, things that are dangerous to our sustainable process and progress, and things that also can be very beautiful and sustainable and open up doors. And so the whole idea is not to cover 100% of all what these things can be, but simply to get our minds open to the reality that there are things that are beautiful in our lives, but oftentimes can come with some hidden dangers. That's from relationships to the type of business that we're doing to a number of other things. So today we're going to drop on that just a little. So if I might, one of the things that I wanted to propose to us listening today is this: I was supposed to be what I am not. Now you think about that and ponder that for a hot minute, and think about how much of our life expands heretofore that we've spent time trying to be something we were supposed to be and we're not. And then we have to take responsibility for that, because that leads us to that wannabe syndrome. That leads us to that, hey, I've been grinding out, but who am I grinding out for? And it made me think about, for this one moment, these years where I played so much football. I played football from Pop Warner all the way up to semi-pro, until one morning I woke up and I said, I don't want to do this anymore, right? It just happened. It just clicked. I didn't want to do it anymore. And all the training and everything that I committed my life to, the mindset didn't really go away, but the training, things I put my body through, I was supposed to be what I'm not. I was supposed to be an NFL ball player, play in a league. That's what I was supposed to be, but I was not. And then I had to wrestle with that. And then I had to shift gears and allow for myself to do some other things that I'm grateful that I became successful at, but I had to shift gears. And so there was a beauty and there was a hidden danger in all that I had been doing up until that time. Beauty, got great results, body looked tight, was on top of my game in every aspect of my life. Danger, all the time, the commitment, the overload in those areas, and the exhaustion of that same temple that looked good, and the interruption of people, so to speak, because if it was not contributing in my mindset to my end goal, those people weren't necessary. So I was supposed to be what I am not. I was supposed to be what I am not. You might choke on that, but you have to settle on that, or you have to do something about that. But if you choose to fix what's broken, then you have the opportunity to move on. I'm just going to stop right there. You jump in there.
I'm going to play off that a little bit. One, I would like to just say I would have loved to see Robbie Colbreth in his prime, just pumping iron and just knocking heads off. But
that's you're going to get a whole bunch of people chiming in right now. They're going to tell you that boy was benching 450 and it was deadlifting 505. and he only weighed 150 pounds. But go ahead, talk some
Yeah,
more,
I'm just
bro.
a mere mortal over here. I mean, my bench only got up to like maybe 320. But yeah, so kind of one of the things you hit on, and I want to play off was like, so you're saying like when we feel like we're supposed to do something, like that's a passion, that's a gift, that's something that we're striving for. And then we want to set that goal and that horizon. Like, we want to have that ultimate goal of I'm going to make it to the NFL, or
Yeah,
I'm going to publish a book, or, I'm going to be a New York Times bestseller, or my podcast is going viral, or all these other things. And then sometimes the based on our gifting and how, because like I'm only like a 5'11", maybe a 28-inch vertical white dude, and that doesn't always play into my desire. Maybe if it was to go play into the NBA, like average speed, maybe
right
above
on,
average speed, and that
right.
sort of thing. So it's like we can have these goals and mindsets, but sometimes our gifting can guide us to that or from that to
Yeah,
something else. That doesn't mean we're prevented from like achieving greatness.
100%.
It just means sometimes we can't get lost trying to bang our head against the wall and make something happen. Like sometimes we have to be like, okay, I've dedicated my entire life towards this. Let's just take a step back and evaluate. Like I can keep going or I can shift and pivot. And like I've
Yep.
learned a lot of great things in this journey, in this life. Like, I was a walk-on in college, so a little bit different experience from yours, I'm sure. Like I never saw the field, but I was around like such great talent
Yeah.
and such great mindset. And like even through just like one, I tell this story all the time. And I actually had a teammate from college. He passed away this past week, and it was
Oh,
kind of hard
sorry to
to
hear that.
hear. And his name is Jalen Ferguson. He plays for the Ravens, or played for the
Mm,
Ravens. And
yeah.
he was a third round draft pick. He's on the Louisiana Tech all time team. He was all conference, if I'm not mistaken, and all American a couple of the
Wow.
years he was there. A guy that could have played anywhere, but he came to Louisiana Tech because he wanted to play right off the bat. He didn't want to wait. And we had this day of punishment because I missed a workout, and there was a group of us there. It wasn't just me. And
Right.
he was one of them. And we had gone through a round of punishment, and it was these squat workouts. And it's the worst thing you ever want to do on a
Yeah.
Saturday morning at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. And so
Yeah.
we had all done one round, and
Yeah.
then I was like, thank goodness this is over. I'm gonna go hit up the mess hall. I'm just gonna eat. I'm not even gonna go to class.
Yeah.
And then they yelled at me when I tried to start walking away and said, George, you have 2 rounds.
You right.
And I was like, no, 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 no. And I just said, and I cried a little bit on the inside and probably a
Yeah.
little bit on the outside too.
Yeah.
But he and I was the only one that had 2, because they said not only did I miss a workout, but I didn't call in and I didn't show up late. So it
Right
was
on.
like no effort to get there. And I'm like, if I sleep past my like my 5:30 a.m. alarm, like I'm sleeping till 7. Like,
Yeah.
so. But anyways, long story short, I'm in there hitting my second round, and the strength coach is yelling at me like right in
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
ear. He's like, if you miss a rep, you're kicked off the team, and all these other things. And Jalen Ferguson comes back in, and he's sitting there encouraging me and like telling me like keep going, like don't quit. We
That's
need
it.
you on the team, like that sort of thing. And it was just so cool because, you have this all-American type player at a small school like Louisiana Tech, a big, big fish in a very small pond.
Yeah.
And to see him just like come back in, and he stayed till I finished, and like,
Yeah.
you know, gave me a
Great teammate.
handshake, like good job, like slapped me on the butt, and all the good things. And
Yeah.
he didn't even have like this super close relationship, but it just showed the type of guy he was, and the type
Yeah.
of guys, because the locker room was full of those kinds of guys, and it was just so cool. Because there's a handful of guys in the NFL, and I'm like, it's just cool to say like I played or I was on team with that guy, and we went and won a bowl game and all these other things. And, but it just goes back to like being around that environment, and, you have this desirable goal of playing college football. And like,
Sure.
I quickly realized, like, I've worked hard. I've gotten on the team. I'm a part of it. We've gone to the bowl, and like, I've done the work to be on the team, and, done all the workouts, like all the punishment, the hell week, and getting in the shape during
Yeah.
the summer, all of it. It's a lot of
Yeah.
work. Everyone just sees the production on Saturday night and Saturday
Yeah.
during the day. And, those beautiful things, like, everyone loves college football. You got the band, the cheerleaders, the halftime show, all these other things. And, you know, they don't see all the work that goes into it. Like, they want to criticize the coach. They want to criticize all these decisions, but ultimately we're putting the work in. The coach
Yes.
is the one sleeping at the field house, or
Yep.
there at 4 or 5 a.m. watching plays, going over play calling and all that other kind of thing. And, there's those hidden dangers. There's like stresses that's put on the family. And we want these great results financially and the time commitment, and to be a coach. Like, I considered coaching because I love the sport of football. Even love basketball. And that time commitment, it's tough. It's at least 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And, it's a lifestyle, not just a profession.
Especially if you're
So
going to be a head coach or HC or DC. It's a lot that goes into that. Just to drop real quick on that,
yeah,
coming out of college and having played semi-pro, when I finished that semi-pro, that's exactly what I did, is to go into coaching because it was still in my blood. And I went into coaching high school, and then went to Pop Warner, back to middle school, and then being more or less like a cheerleader for high school, but a personal trainer also for training kids from junior high, all the way up to a couple guys that I had the privilege of training briefly that end up making it into the NFL. So it is something that can stay in your blood. But you said something that I wanted to tag in on, and when you were talking about that training part, and putting in that work, I came up with these phrases like put your work in, pay the man, get paid, grind, things like that. Embrace the pain, make pain your friend. These are catchphrases that you have to develop, or I developed, in order to get me through those moments. And I admire what you said about not only your teammate falling, but you had to tap into that grizzle, that worn, that neglected part, right? Not neglected necessarily, but that part of who you are that says, I can do this, or I'm going to do this, right? And I'm going to go with the extra mile. I'm going to put myself through the rigors of whatever is necessary, because here are the consequences that I'm having to deal with because of the action that I chose, right? And so at the end of the day, the output was, although it seemed bad for the moment, the output was you became a better person, became a better human being, you became a better teammate, you saw the value of the teammate that was there. So it's some beauty and everything that was exploding in your life at that time, but it didn't feel that way, right? And so finish your point on that, but I just saw that nugget right there, and I thought that was hot. You know what I mean? I just wanted to tag in on that, man. Go ahead, take it.
Yeah, it's like, so when we're putting together a goal and striving towards something great, we're gonna have these moments where it's like so easy to turn around and quit, and like, I didn't think it would be this hard, or I don't have to put up with that because I'm such and such entitled, and my mindset and things I started to think about, because at this point in college, I didn't have the work ethic,
Sure.
outside of what was asked, that, yeah, I'd show up to punishment and I'd do the things that was asked of me. But halfway, sometimes I think about, man, if I would have taken football serious, like freshman year of high school, I think I would have got a scholarship to a Louisiana Tech and gotten to play and see the field and that sort of thing. But I don't say that to say, crap on me, like I suck, like that sort of thing. It's like, no, like I look back and say, you know, that's a lesson I can learn. And it was hard to learn because I looked around, I was like, man, these guys have been grinding since like Pop Warner, like you
Yeah.
said. And some of these other things, like I just felt entitled because I was one of the better players at my high school, and it was a small high school, so it wasn't hard to be that. And um, we had some next level guys come through, some potential, NFL kind of caliber guys. But back to like the lesson I learned was anything else in life that you're going to go, because football is a temporary thing for everyone.
But it's a life
And
lesson for sure.
exactly. So it's like, I'm not going to be a Jalen Ferguson to where I can have that kind of influence on, a little old walk on from Athens, Texas, and, have that influence and that presence. But like in life, I want to achieve the results of a Jalen Ferguson in my financial life, in my spiritual life, in my wisdom of life. So when I see someone struggling that really wants to stay and make strides and move forward, I can be kind of that motivation and help guide them and do that sort of thing. But if I wouldn't have experienced that pain of that situation, or it's just unfavorable. Like I literally couldn't walk right after it felt like I had micro needles in my glutes and my quads, and like even the muscles in my feet were sore. It was just like the amount of stress, and my core was sore. Like almost every part of my body was just thrashed.
Put in a whole
And
new, put your work in.
yeah, and it was like, maybe I won't experience the glory in football, and that I'm okay with that. But like in life, if those are the kinds of situations I'm gonna have to be put through to, become successful. Like if I look at a Tyler Devereaux or someone else that's really profound and established themselves in real estate or just financially, like if I have any other mentors, like if I look at them and say, I want these results, and if these are the things I have to go through to get that, it doesn't matter. Like I'm gonna do it, and because I know what that kind of life leads. I know what it'll provide for my future family. I know that road, like going for the road that I want to go, that's above and beyond, is gonna come with these hidden dangers of this is hard. You don't have to do this, and a lot of it's internal. There's some
Yeah.
external dangers, I think, and we can hit on that, but like most of the obstacles we face, I believe, are internal obstacles. And
They're mostly all internal, and they restrict your external performances, right? So that's why mindset growth is important. That's why understanding your game and improving upon your game is extremely important. That's why, this catchphrase for me is everything. Put your work in, because put your work in means a multiplicity of things for me. It means learning every aspect of the game. And so, whatever the game is for my life, if the game is to be the best pastor, if the game is to be the best leader, if the game is to be the best player, if the game is to be the best support, if the game is to be the best whatever, then my game plan, my work ethic says put your work in. So, what I found is from elementary school on up, all of the people that are still around that I know, they all have made comments to that same effect. You're always walking like you're going somewhere, like you're in purpose to go somewhere. You've always, my ex-ball player buddies, they're like, dude, you were pushing us, you smallest guy on the team, and you were pushing us saying we're gonna be here for practice at 5:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was from the universities I played in, because you were saying we're gonna win a championship, because I understood winning from winning culture, because I had only lost 2 games by the time I hit college. 4 games, 2 games by the time I hit college. So I didn't understand the mentality of losing. You understand? And so that was a different kind of culture, different kind of mindset, and it drives me. And so the plus part is I want to win, and I'm going to help build winners. The negative side is I want to win, and I'm going to help build winners, which means that there's some things that are not acceptable. They may be
right.
acceptable. They may be cultural norms that most people go through. But in order to assail and to reach those higher heights, these are not acceptable norms. And so therefore you're categorized, and people can judge you, and people can accuse you, and people can misalign you with whatever thoughts they have, because that's what they took and they put park on, and they took breaks and they took a seat, and they became spectators in life at that place. But you had a bigger drive to move forward. And I want to share this, and I want to give the mic back to you for a second. I was watching a show, a documentary, short docu about Draymond Green. You know, he's got a podcast out right now, and so they were just covering some things on there, but they was also covering some things about his life, and I wrote it down as the challenges of being untapped greatness. And then and I saw something that was remarkable to me. I didn't know that Draymond Green was seizure prone, you know, and we know he's a little anger prone, and but what I saw was he spends hours and days and dollars correcting and learning about these things. He's minimally spent millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know if it's millions or not. They didn't say that part. But what it's bought him was 4 chips and multi-millions of dollars. He's got 4 chips. They have 4 championships. He's a part of that 4-piece dynasty, 4-piece group that's our favorite team. The Steph, the Clay, the Draymond, the Iguodala, man, those 4, they have 4 rings, right? But it cost him time. It cost him anger management. It cost him seizure management. It cost him being misunderstood. It cost him to have people have opinions about him all the time, but they don't know his journey. So they see the chips and they see the behavior, but they didn't know about the seizures, and they didn't know about the anger management and the time that he's putting in. He's putting his work in order to get those chips. But the chips that he's getting now, the first and foremost, are the chips over the type of life that he wants to have for himself, for his family, and for his children. We oftentimes just see the outside. We don't know what a person's putting in. We don't know what kind of work they're putting in. So to judge a person and to accuse a person or to malign a person because you're seeing this outward display of something you may not agree with, but you don't know what they're going through, and you don't know the price that they're paying in order to develop that mindset or to correct something that they might be dealing with, in order for them to get their own chips, their own championships in life. Take the mic, brother.
Yeah, I think, you know, and there's the back and forth between, because sometimes, or all the time, and at times we do things that we don't want to do. You know, we kind of maybe lose a little bit of control, or we don't respond quite correctly, or how we think we want to, and we don't express ourselves in a way that we are trying, and it's not congruent with our thoughts and our body language and all those other things. And I would say probably Draymond doesn't like how he responds to a lot of things. You know, maybe he doesn't want to stomp his feet. Like, you know, in the finals, he was like yelling at Steve Kerr to review that one foul or something. He stomped his feet down and like almost threw like a little tantrum. But I would imagine like he would like for him not to react that way. Or, you know, like Steph a couple years back, he threw his mouthpiece. Like, he knows he shouldn't do that, but we just want to judge him for that. And, you know, it's easy to watch him on the couch and say, no, what the heck are you doing, Steph, or Draymond, or, you know, LeBron, or whoever we want to put under the magnifying glass, and just say, that's unacceptable. Like, I don't like him because of that, you know, or that sort of thing. But I love Draymond Green, even though I don't agree with all he does, his work ethic, his grind, like I don't know that I would act the same way in that position, but like, I don't know, maybe I do more dumb things.
But I think part of the beauty is that's uniquely him. See, I love this one commercial. You probably seen the commercial where the guy's always telling this group of people that he's working with, don't act like your parents, right? Don't do stuff that your parents. I love that commercial, right? I go crazy over that commercial. I'm like a kid when I see it. But that's the whole drama, right? That's the whole psychodrama that we go through sometimes. We're trying to act like our parents. No. Our parents were uniquely and marvelously made from the combination of their parents. And we're
Right.
that for us. And then our children are going to be that. And so part of the journey is looking at that uniquely, marvelously made, sitting back, taking the seat back, and watching who they are. Like my sons were in the womb of my wife. I paid attention at what time they were moving around in their stomach, right? And I
That's
played scripture. I played scripture on all night long and hit repeat, and so they could hear the word of God all night long. This was my formula. It doesn't matter what anybody else judges. It's not your business. It's just my business. I'm exposing it.
right.
So I would
Yeah.
just I would play the word, and then I would watch, and I was like, okay, so my middle son right here, this dude stays up all night long, right? He comes awake at night. So we got to watch this because that's how he's going to be out the womb. So I had to prepare my mind because I'm going to be up all night while my wife is getting rest. And then the other joker like to sleep all day long. That joker still like to sleep, right? And the other joker is like he was more like normalized. So I had to learn their patterns. But what I started to see when they started walking, talking, and doing what they were doing, they were also showing me other attributes. And so instead of me trying to form them into boxing, martial arts, running track, playing football, I started bodybuilding and powerlifting. I started forming them into what I started to see. I started giving them the tools that I saw lent more to who they were, what they were expressing, and let them develop that. So one of my baby boy, I saw early on, I said, baby girl. And so I called my wife. I said, this boy sees three-dimensional. I said, he sees things in the three-dimensional category. I said, it's weird, but he's going to be an artist. So I bought him his first easel and his paint brushes and markers and pencils and all that. And he didn't do anything with him at first. But now I got up this morning, and he's over at the house right now. And he's been up for 2 or 3 hours now, about 3 hours. And he's been working on his art. This was what was in him. So I was trying to push that thing that was in him. And so we got to be, so that's the hidden beauty. So now he expresses differently than everybody else, but that mentality is different than anyone else's mentality. Let me share this last thing right here. I was looking at America's Got Talent, right? Had my granddaughters over and was looking at America's Got Talent. And then watching America's Got Talent, it was this kid that was on there, and he was talking about how how they asked him, how'd you get here? And he was talking about, well, you know, I was self-taught through the internet. I watched this, I watched that. I learned how to do this, that, and the other. I'm a child of divorced parents. I got family on both sides now, and all these things were happening in my life. And he says, but I wanted to do this. And so he said one of the things he wanted to do was be motocross. He'd never done motocross before in his life. He went on the internet and he learned what it took to become a motocross biker. And he ended up becoming a champion, right? He learned what it took to be to sing and to be a producer. And now he's producing and he's singing. So he won the competition. That's how I learned about all of these things. He said, I was self-taught. What I found from that is that he embraced the struggle. He embraced what it was going to take to become this person. He embraced the fact that it was going to take some time to get there. He embraced the fact that he needed to have a plan. And when he put those things together, he embraced the fact that other people were going to come at him different kind of ways and potentially psychoanalyze him because he is the child of divorced parents. But at the end of the day, when it was all said and done, because he came into his greatness and he won that, his family, his biological mom and dad, they were there with their families, and all of their families were one. So there's a beauty that can come out of this as long as we keep apart the biggest challenge, and that is the infiltration of everybody's opinions and judgments about who we are and what we're supposed to be, unless it's enhancing what they've seen us to be, and they give us the encouragement to move forward, because that's really what this is all about. Brother, take the mic.
Right. So basically what you're hitting on is there's a time and place for the constructive criticism, the self-growth, I don't like this thing that I do, and I want to try to improve upon it. But definitely on the world stage during a basketball game, you're not going to listen to the fans like a Draymond Green's not going to listen to the fans, not going to listen to, the people watching on the couch. He's going to listen to those guys that he trusts, or his coach, or, maybe his brother, if he has a brother, or family of some variety. to, because everyone has things that we want to work on and we want to improve upon. And even at that most elite level, no one's perfect. So kind of just reeling back the idea is that we're all going to experience this pain. And, that hits with one of the other episodes we had this last week, through achieving beautiful desires and those dangers that come with that. Cause it's uncomfortable. It's, I just listened to this. We have to face these uncomfortable things to grow, to peel back that layer of who we are and then who we want to be. I just listened to a podcast, a Joe Rogan podcast. He had a couple friends suggested this episode to me. Is this woman named Dr. Rhonda Patrick, and I think it was back in like 2020. So it was very health oriented, but one of the major things she promotes is, especially for people that aren't mobile, that can't walk or run or move or lift weights, for physical fitness, you can even just sit in a sauna.
Yeah.
And the sauna, is super hot. It's uncomfortable. It's tough to breathe. And you even put a little bit of that eucalyptus in there, and it just, it just opens up your lungs, and you're like, what did I just walk into? Your eyes might water a little bit, and your nose is burning a little bit, and it almost feels like you're breathing fire. But you get in the sauna, and you have to get in that uncomfortable environment to, rid yourself of impurities or metaphorically, maybe it's, lack of consistency or, destructive thought patterns or error-ridden thinking, as I call him a mentor. He's a mentor from a distance, but Dallas Pruitt talks about all the time, error-ridden thinking and catching yourself and breaking those cycles of error-ridden thought. And, then we've hit on it a lot, but effort is king, like replacing those destructive cycles, which is that pain that you get from trying to achieve these above and beyond things. And that doesn't happen if you don't have goals that are worth achieving. Like if you're sitting on the couch watching Netflix all day, you're not going through these error-ridden thinking thought patterns, and you're building error-ridden thought patterns without being conscious of it.
Exactly.
You're building that in action. You're building those poor habits. And, I like the metaphor of a shark, because sharks, even when they sleep, they continue to move. Because they have to have water pass through their gills, and that way they can breathe. If they stop moving, they die. And, one of the most predatorial animals, the apex predator of the ocean, I don't know, maybe like the killer whale is really I don't know, but one of the most dominant animals in its ecosystem has this, it appears to be a weakness, but to the shark, it's just business as usual.
100%.
And that looks probably to a fish. I don't know how other animals breathe in the water, but I'd imagine that that's different. And sharks are a very different creature. So it's in order to have this output, you have to do things that are different. You have to be willing to go above and beyond, do things that don't make sense to other people and that sort of thing. Like you were saying, your teammates were probably like, Robbie, we have practice at 8 a.m. Why do you want to go at 5 a.m. or whatever the situation was, is
put your work in. It's funny that you mentioned the shark, because I was doing martial arts, and I had a martial arts school years ago. And so I was under Grandmaster Kwang Choi and Taekwondo martial arts. He's still around. He's an amazing man. If you ever get a chance to look at his films, look at Grandmaster Kwang Choi, baddest man on the planet, one of the baddest men on the planet. End of the day, when I was looking at developing myself and getting better at the craft of martial arts, I said, in the air, on land, and on sea, what metaphorically represents who you are? What parenthetically represents where you want to go? And I said, an eagle, for sure, because they go at heights way above, and they intend to stay above, way above. And so that they're above the scrutiny and above the reasoning of the normal individual or any other bird of flight. So they're above the reasoning. So therefore, all you can do is hyperimpose what you think an eagle is all about, because you can't reach the height of what it's doing. And so you hyperimpose your thoughts around it, but the eagle neither cares about that because it's above that. It's concerned about its family, and it's concerned about its prey, and it's concerned about its safety and making sure that it's at a level of thinking that exceeds that of the norm. So I said, here's an eagle. I had my artist put it on a wall. I had a wall inside my dojo, and he drew this Japanese sort of pictorial, and so the eagle was up there very high on a high mountain, and on the land I said I wanted a Bengal tiger. And he said, why Bengal tiger? I said, I know the lion is supposed to be king. I said, but the strategist is the Bengal tiger. When you look at the Bengal tiger and the character of the Bengal tiger, he's a strategic, very, very well adept, very smart. It's bigger, stronger, which means that when it launches, it's got to conserve and it's got to expend its energy strategically. Otherwise, it's going to get tired. It's going to exhaust itself, and it won't have the recoup ability, and it's going to starve out. So the strategy is what I saw in the Bengal. Then from the Bengal, I said under the water, the great white shark. That's why I mentioned this in particular, because that dude does do what he does, man. He doesn't sleep. He's always constantly moving. He's always putting in his work, right? And even in its sleep, it's putting in its work because it has a deadline. It has a goal, and it's to get somewhere. And it's still inside of its lifespan. It understands what it's supposed to do. Inside of its cycle, it understands where it's supposed to be. And so I said, put those three on there. So that's my air, my land, and my sea, because that's my mindset, and that's where I want to go. And so I know it's not going to always be understood. So I want to give a reset munchable. Know when you've earned your chip. So what that simply means is don't spend the rest of your life chasing what you're supposed to be, but you're not, or trying to prove something to people that don't matter. You've got to reset, reframe, reboot, rest, and move in your new chapter. And then you got to tell yourself, your mental man, you got to tell your emotional man, your heart man, you got to tell your physical man, let's go, right? Here's your the next month. I'm going to turn it back over to you in a minute. Create new moments that define and reveal you. You got to work at it. You got to study it. You've got to pursue it. You've got to live it in your pursuit, and you'll find endless potentials. You'll find endless possibilities inside just waiting on you. But you've got to work at it. You've got to study it. You've got to live it. You've got to pursue it. And listen, when you first start living this thing, it's a little disjointed. When you first start living this thing, it doesn't fit because it's new. It's being created. Understand that in pursuit, you must pursue you. You're the it with more resolve, and you have to retire your if. Because what I found inherent in if is fear that if it doesn't work, then people will say this, that, or the other. But it's your dream. It's your pursuit. It's your goal. It's your open door. Forget about what people have to say. Pursue your best you. And if you could achieve everything that you put in your mind to do and achieve at an outstanding level, what would you do? Would you do it? Yes, you would. And so this is where you retire your if. You've got to make up in your mind and make that your reframe, that my if is going to be my it. So I know that sounds crazy, but my it is I'm going to pursue this piece about my life. And I know that if I do this with every piece of resolve on the inside, I embrace the pain. I put the work in. I make pain my friend, because there's going to be some nights I'm going to be up studying. Some nights I'm going to be up dreaming and writing out what those dreams look like. Some nights I got to just get things done. And it's against the grain of what I'm normalized inside of. But I got to get it. And I can't fail. When you put that kind of reframe together, that your if is going to bring your it, and there's no fear and there's no loss. There's no failure. You're going to achieve. I'm certain that you will unravel the gift that's inside of you, and it will give you the drive, and it'll give you the command, and it'll give you the commitment to discipline yourself to get your best you.
Yeah, that's so good. And then one of the things that stood out there was kind of that reframe, that reshift, take a step back, rest, evaluate.
Reboot.
Why am I reboot? Yeah. Why am I doing this? Is it because I want to do it? Like you were saying, and you've mentioned in the past, like playing pro football wasn't always just your vision. Like you might have desired that, but I think you mentioned there was other factors that play there.
Yeah, when I wanted to play pro football, here's part of my drive. This
Yeah.
is why this is core to me. I had people in my life, parents, friends, otherwise, that said, "You'll never play high school ball." I was small, I was a little
Yeah.
guy, and I didn't have a whole lot of weight. And so I started putting in work. I started working out. I've always worked. And so I bought 210-pound weight sets.
Mm-hmm.
And I start military pressing weights. I start curling. I start doing delt work, front rear medial. I start doing chest work. I start doing the leg extensions, reverse leg. I start doing their squats, everything. Me and my buddy Kim Duncan. And we worked out in the garage religiously for hours. And I'd work out early in the morning. Then I work out after I did my studies when I got home, or after my practices for football, track, whatever sport I was in. And I went on the field and I started sprinting and everything else because somebody told me I couldn't.
Yeah.
And so they said, you wouldn't. And so because I was told I couldn't and I wouldn't, I said I will. And so I started pushing that part of me. And then when I got to the place where I had some pro scouts in Notre Dame and some other people were looking at me in a certain aspect of my training, certain year in college, because I won the all KCAC punt, kickoff return, and some other stuff. And people were looking at me. I was like, hold on, let me, I started thinking maybe I want to play pro ball. So then I had a group of people say, you're too small to play pro ball. But these people are looking at me and these people are looking at me. So the reason why, one of my favorite teams is Kansas City Chiefs. It's been that way for years, is because I went to one of the universities and they were holding tryouts. And so you get a walk on, you can come in and on an invite. And I went in there and I made the team. But at this time, because of my age, I'm telling on myself my age, no, they had not passed the NCAA rules where you can leave college and go and play pros. But it was my junior year. I'm sorry, it was going into my junior year, and I made the team for Kansas City, and they were extending me an invite, and I'm like, I got one more year in college, and so I knew I was gonna play pro ball. I was like, I got one more year of college, and we partied. They was like, get out of here! You trying to get us in trouble? You're violating the NCAA rules. I said, I just wanted to see if I could. That was my whole thing, because everybody was telling me I couldn't because of my size and all that. No, it didn't matter that I ran 4.2 40 on grass in boots. It didn't matter that I was one of the strongest guys on the team. None of that mattered. And I'm only saying that just for illustration purposes, nothing more.
Yeah.
None of those things mattered. It didn't matter that I put work in. I was up before everybody else putting my work in. I was last one putting my work in. None of that mattered. It mattered to me at one point, the opinions and the judgments of other people, until I realized, until you schedule them out, you can find yourself living somebody else's dream and expectations, positively or negatively. And so I started to learn to schedule them out. And as I scheduled those things out, I came up to that time in my life and I was like, wait a minute, I don't want this. I've been doing this part because everyone said you can't. And I've been proving them wrong. On my wall right here is a picture that says prove them wrong. I've been proving people wrong all my life. And then I said, wait a minute, I'm not going to live in that trap of people controlling me and manipulating me by trying to say you can't do this, and this, because that's part of my character. And I have to prove them wrong. I said, no, I'm getting ready to do what is the it factor in me, what I was built to do.
Right.
And influence. So I stopped the football. I just woke up, boom, it was over. And I was done with it. I wanted to continue to help people because, funny enough and oddly enough, my mom can attest to this. As a child, I said, I want to change the world. I believe I can change the world. And that's been my it factor all my life. One person, one family at a time. That's my it factor. That's what moves me. That's what motivates me. Putting together homeless programs with strategy for them becoming entrepreneurs and for them to be able to do interviews and to get jobs and to get their lives back on track and to know how to manage money and to get into apartments and then into homes and then into entrepreneurship and finances and all these types of things that has been done. That's my it factor, not publicizing who those people are. I'm taking pictures of them, but doing it, right? Getting on a podcast like this, because if it affects one person, like last week, we were looking at the program and somebody said, I needed this. This is what it's done for me. Man, one person, one family at a time. This is the it factor, man. Back to you, dude.
Yeah. So it's back to that idea of not doing things because others want you to do it.
That's huge.
I think sometimes we can like thrive in knowing we have opposition, but we can't let our opposition dictate the direction that we go. So it's all about having that right leverage of, yeah, I kind of need that fuel. I kind of need that opposition of, no, I'm going to prove them wrong. Like, I'm going to go out and do it. Like, we're going to make this thing the best thing ever. I'm going to change lives, whatever your goal is. No, people said I can't write. No, I really want to write, and I'll prove them wrong. So it's
100%.
like about having that like leverage, that leverage over who's deciding my actions, but then what's the motivation and fuel to
say that again, brother. Man, that's a major munchable right there, baby.
Yeah, it's like having that who has the leverage over my actions, my decisions, and then what's motivating. And sometimes we can use that opposition to motivate, but then we also need that constructive criticism, or even that just those hype men or women or cheerleaders or the people that are going to get on your vision, get on board with you, so to speak. But yeah, so it's all about leveraging that, and like why you do what you do is really important.
Here's a revival munchable, right? To revive you. Arise, get up, pick up your mat and walk. It's time to live. That's revive, right? You got to take your time, and you've got to realize the commodity that it is, and you've got to look at your mind and your motivation, like you just said. So paramount, so powerful, so important, and find out what is fueling your it, what is fueling your pursuit. And then once you do that, that's where that's where you get up. That's where you arise. That's where you pick up your mat and you walk. Because once you find out what the real motive is, and if it's not from your heart set, yes, it could be something pushing you and driving you. But if it's not your heart set, you're fighting a battle against time. And time is your greatest commodity. And if you don't watch yourself, you're going to lose, because you're going to waste a lot of time following something else instead of pursuing you. You're going to be a writer. Be the best writer. You're going to be a podcast host. Be the best host. You're going to do whatever else you're going to do. Be the best, but study like we do. We study into this whole thing to get better at what we're doing, so that we can present content that's relevant, that's real, that's going to inspire, not to make somebody like us, but to make somebody think, so they can get to the it, so that they can be motivated in the right means, and by the right means to get it done. And so maybe they can have an experience and carry on munchable, which means that it's never too late to find you while you're still alive. It's never too late to make your impact, to change the world one person, one family at a time. It's never too late to stop what doesn't work and start what will, to teach, to preach, to heal. It's never too late to earn your worth, but to keep the opinions and the judges and those that kick you around and kick you aside and hurt your journey, get them out.
Yeah.
Leave them and start your new world without the toxins. Take the mic, brother.
Yeah, and that can be difficult, because sometimes our greatest critics are, the people that are closest to us. They're our lifelong friends. They're, our family, brother, sister, dad, mom, whoever. So it's difficult, and like, yeah, I mean, we're still going to maintain these relationships, but as far as letting them speak into our lives, we have to defend our vision. We can't share things with people.
Say that one more. I like that. That's hot.
We have to defend our vision and our goals and our hopes and dreams from people that aren't going to help it grow. And yeah, there can be that place for constructive criticism and be like, all right, how are you going to make that happen? while they're not just like, oh yeah, you got it, no worries, like you're gonna be great, I know you're great. You know, you need those people too.
Yep.
But you need the people. I've had the luxury of having some people that have really challenged me in my life to really just be like, in order to be successful, you have to stop this. And it's like comes from a place of they're willing to tell you the things that don't sound the most pleasing in
Yes.
order to help you grow in a way that's going to be beneficial for the long term.
100%.
So, man, it was just I had this really close relationship with this guy. I had like an internship with the church in my college town,
Yes.
and man, he just really challenged me. You know, I had a lot of toxic ideology and mentality about the way I carried myself. I wasn't confident. I didn't think what I had to say anybody cared about. I didn't think that, you know, my self-image was what I thought others thought of me. It wasn't what I
Sure.
thought of myself, you know. So self-esteem was almost non-existent. I didn't really know what I was passionate about or what I was passionate about. I didn't think it was worth being passionate about and that no one really cared about that. So it wasn't valuable.
Wow.
So I was just in a place of like inaction, you know, that translated to my work ethic. Like I didn't want to put anything into anything. And it just, I wasn't, man, I was just a kind of a toxic mentality to be around and
Sure.
judgmental of things. I'm like, oh no, that could be better.
Yeah.
Like they need to work on that, you know, not how can I help kind of mentality. How can I serve? How can I help grow? How can I grow myself? So we can, as a team, be better, you know? So kind of like with that is we need that constructive criticism, those people.
100%.
And I keep hitting on that probably, you know, this episode, future episodes too, is like, we do have to limit our airspace around us to protect our business.
100%.
And because that energy does play before, like we have this mega, you know, result, you know, all the energy and the thoughts and what people feed into that. Yeah, we can control our own thoughts, actions, and desires. But who we tell and who we share our vision with really can play into how we feel about ourselves. So until it really cements and solidifies in
Keep it to yourself.
existing as what we know and dream and hope it can be, you know, keep it to yourself, keep it to those close people that you're really looking for their feedback, you know, keep it to the people that are further down the road than you want to be, you know, that have the results that you desire. Because I don't know any profession, any niche, any, you know, hobby or anything where someone already hasn't done that or
100%. Nothing new under the sun. And
right. You can use that material, play off their efforts, their journey, you know, interview other people, and that will help you grow.
my mom used to tell me years ago when I first started church planting, because I church plant and I've been privileged to be able to plant churches around the world. My mother used to tell me, you know, because I've had dreams and strategies and things. She said, stop telling people what you're going to do, right? Because they can get in the way and there'll be more people praying against you than people praying for you. And so that was a hard lesson for me to learn because, you know, my makeup, my DNA is to help people, right? To move them out of their stuck places and get them into places of greatness. And that's just what that's what I built myself into doing. That's what I love to do. That's overarching in my life because I'm foolish enough to believe I can change the world. I believe that one person, one family at a time, and maybe I'll meet that Billy Graham or I'll meet another TD Jakes or somebody else that's phenomenal that's affecting a bunch of people. And if I miss somebody, a Steph Curry or a Draymond Green or someone else, a LeBron James or someone else, forgive me on that because that's not my intention. My intention is just to say that I believe this is what I'm capable of doing. So I had to start to silence some of the stuff that I'm doing and to keep it to myself and like until it solidifies, just like the point you just made. That's extremely important because there are dream assassins. There are people that have died and they have stopped living and they're trying to live vicariously through you. And they're trying to accomplish through you what they stopped doing and they wish they had not. But they see your energy in many cases. They see your drive. And then there's some bucket of people that are just jealous because you're achieving something and they like you when you were back here with them. They like you back in that stuck place. So you've got to realize that, hey, what I've got to do and what I'm intended to accomplish, this is for me, and this is what I've got to be able to go after. So here's a munchable, and I want you to take this munchable. This is not just for you. I'm just sharing in particular. Here's a munchable. Learn to love and accept yourself. Be bigger, be better, not to prove something to somebody, but so it can serve as a guide, so you can leave a legacy of acceptance of yourself, so that could be seen by your children. My mom and my daddy accept themselves. This is a treasure, and this is a treasure that can be left to generations. This is the DNA of why family can matter. Because if you can show that you accept yourself and that you love yourself to your nuclear and your extended family, it's going to be a blessing. Here's another nugget. Beauty and the Beast. Dysfunction can be good. A munchable, a person who constantly does what they do is showing you who they are. That's dysfunction. If you got somebody constantly in your life watching what you're doing, constantly hurting you, that's a dysfunction, but it can work.
Yeah.
It can help you, because inside of it, it's also pointing up something that could be a harm to you. My father used to talk about birds of a feather flock together, my mother and father. And my parents used to say, if everybody in your walk of life, not your family, just your family, but if everyone in your walk of life is saying the same thing, some of what they're saying could be true. That thing that they're saying in your walk of life, you might need to sit that thing down and address it, pull it apart out of your mindset, out of your heart set, out of your emotion, dissect it, and then determine, I'm gonna cast it out. I'm gonna redress it so I can move forward. But you got to determine what it's gonna be, because you got to get your chip. You understand? That's that story about Draymond Green. He has to get his chip, so he can't let his seizures. He can't let his anger management. He can't let what he thinks about people, what people think about. He can't. But he sets those things down, and he puts professional people in front of him to help him manage those things. And as a result, it channels into what his greater good is, to affect the lives of millions and millions of people, but also it helps him get his chips. I believe that he and the Golden State Warriors, because they deep on that issue, they're going to get a couple more chips. Yeah. Because they're deeper. They take their cerebral side and they put it into their player side, and they want more for people. So because it's bigger than just a chip, I think they're going to get a couple more. That's simply an opinion. It's not negative, or it's more positive. It's just, I believe that. So whether that happens or not, it doesn't lead for right or wrong. It's just a statement. But when you're doing something that's bigger than you for the benefit of other people, and you've made no small plans for God to operate in your life to help bring this to pass, it's bigger than your resource base. So it's bigger than the people that have means, money, influence, and power. But it's so big, and they believe it because you believe it, that you create a Shark Tank type of environment for yourself, where there are people in your life, and they're influencers and people with means, money, power, and influence. They're all vying for who you are and what you're putting down. And even if you don't get to the height at the time you intended, wherever you've hit is far above where you started. And now you've got a whole bunch of people that want to get behind you and cause for you to be the greatest thing you can possibly be, and cause for you to impact the world because it's bigger than you. And impact the world because they see the vision of you impacting the world. Then, man, that's when you're making some impact. So you're right. You need support. You need, I say you need 5 mentors. I always say 5 mentors. I've got a mentor. He privileged me day before yesterday. And I was given the privilege to call him by his first name and not by doctor, his title. Yeah. And you follow me? So that was a privilege for me, because he's been a mentor for me for years. And he said, don't call me Dr. Boom, boom, boom. He said, call me. And he called me by his first name. I was like, wow, what an honor. And so I've got people like that in my life. I've got a couple of billionaire friends and multimillionaire friends because of where I got to go and what I need to achieve. And I can't think like me. They don't think like me. I need to think like, in this aspect of that growth, like they think, and see the world from their perspective, so I can finish what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So you get those mentors in your life to bring you that support, that base, that understanding, so you can get to where you're going, right? And they can give you a critical assessment of what's what. And then you still need your family. Take the mic, bro.
A lot of great things there. I'm gonna rewind a little bit back to there's like energy vampires, or what was the phrasing you used?
Dream assassins.
Dream assassins.
But I like the energy vampires too.
Yeah, I mean, same kind of concept,
Yeah.
but one thing too is like we can be dream assassins to ourselves when we get satisfied with effort instead of execution. Like, yeah, we want, and this goes back to ET and what he preached or spoke about in Vegas was like effort and execution have to be partnered together. You can't be effort can't be applied towards something that's not going to execute and deliver those kinds of results that you're after. So one of the phrases that he uses was, it's not a great deal until the check is cashed.
100%.
You know, it's, if you're a salesman, it's not a great phone call until they purchase. Ultimately, you're not just on the phone to chat and see how their life is and, you know, hear about their hopes and dreams without the idea of selling them the product, you know.
Yes.
So we can't be satisfied. Well, as long as I'm just having good conversations, you know, the sales are going to come. No, I think the mindset should pivot and say, I'm having these great conversations, but how do I close them? You
How do
know,
I close the deal?
how do I be more likable? How do they see the need more for this product?
Create
Or,
value.
yeah, how do I create a little bit more value? Because there's no coachable or teachable moment in as long as I'm having good conversations, like we'll be okay. Well, no, I'm not gonna be okay. I need to make money. I need commission.
I get paid.
My livelihood, you know, like I need this, you know. I don't want to, I'm not here just to not make a sale. That's the primary reason. Like, yeah, I want to build connections and rapport and get to know people and share my vision, hopes, dreams, and goals, and connect with someone that, you know, and hear theirs. But ultimately, I'm gonna sell, like I'm doing this job to sell a product.
100%.
And so we can't be satisfied with things that aren't going to give us the results, like the execution part. We can't just be satisfied with effort. Effort is like a huge component, but the execution part is, I think, what prevents people from, you know, taking that next step.
So I got this lead model from a world-renowned leader. I can't remember her name, and I apologize, but she has this lead execution model. This is how we're on one accord, bro. I appreciate you, man. This is how we're on one accord. Lead. Take this acronym down. Lead. L is for leverage. You have to leverage your time, your talent, your tasks, your training, and your resources. The E is for environment. You're responsible to create the culture in your head with your thoughts, with your emotions, your feelings, your intellect. You create the culture in your home, your network that fosters empowerment. And you have to become agile and nimble with your capacity and your capability, because you're going to have to change at times in order to get where you want to go. The A is for alignment. Learn to execute on the mission over and above the task. Listen, you got to measure your progress and measure the progress of your mission and be able to track your goals and your objectives. Doing this is going to lead to more of the outcome you see. And then the D is for drive. You got to move quickly, efficiently, and then effortlessly. Get your effort man to work for you to get things done. You got to be careful to set boundaries also when you're in your drive mode. Set boundaries on your interruptions and the controls that can distract you. Control your controllables is a famous catchphrase today. But you've got to manage your friends, your family, and make sure it's fun. But also, if they're those energy vampires, dream assassins, you got to eliminate them out of your life, not out of your life permanently. I'm talking about out of certain aspects.
Yeah, it's
So
that leverage.
yeah, you got to leverage them so that you can learn to grow, engage the process, so that you can learn the process, implement your own new process, trust your process, and then you must be able to protect the delivery platform of this process. That means the time is your beauty, Your time is your ally. Your time is your greatest foe. You've got to understand that time is of the essence. Time is scarce. Time is money, and time tells the truth. And so, if you don't operate in a drive, if you don't leverage your environment and your alignment and drive effectively, you're never going to have a proper lead execution model, and that's going to affect you. I'm going to give you 10 success multiples real fast. Number one, accept yourself. And that means you got to analyze, adjust, correct, challenge, and then commit to a stronger ambition with your goal clarity. Number two, make no small plans for the Lord. I mean, you got to think big. You got to think and grow rich. Just read the story of King Solomon and all of his wealth. You know what I mean? And I have 4 life words that I like to utilize every day that helps me make no small plans. And that is have faith in God. Number 3, you got to learn. You got to study everything about who you are, what you are, where you are, when you want to be somewhere, why you want to be somewhere, and how to get there. Number 4, get an accountability partner. That's somebody that's going to tell you the truth. They're not going to sugarcoat it. They're going to help you because they know where you want to go because you're sharing your active plans, and they're going to tell you when you're off course. Number 5, stop lying. A wannabe is never committed. A wannabe is somebody that's always going to have a victim mindset. A wannabe is never going to allow themselves to achieve what they want to achieve because they have a scarcity mindset, and they're going to weaken and they're going to get away. So you got to stop lying. I can be the best. Tell yourself the truth and do it. 6, you got to build a growth mindset. Scarcity sees needs, wants, and desires, and they say we can't do it. But an abundance mindset is this is what we're going to do. I got my growth mindset. I believe I control my life. I believe that I can do these things. I believe that there are people that are set here to help me, and I'm going to get it done. Number 7, what can you do to build a growth mindset? Believe your efforts matter. Learn new skills. Right? Failure is just a learning experience. So don't just get caught up on that because you failed. It's a learning experience. It's part of the process. Number 8, improve your emotional intelligence. Pay attention to your own emotions. Focus on identifying what you're feeling and what's causing those feelings. Manage your emotions. Listen to others in that respect. As we talked about the 5 support people or mentors. Number 9, develop mental toughness. Mental toughness refers to resilience. Carry on, continue trying, face your obstacles, overcome your obstacles, keep trying, keep encouraging, set your goals, have the support team to help you get there. And number 10, strengthen your willpower. Strengthen your willpower. Manage your distractions. Practice willpower on something small like I'm not going to eat past XYZ time at night. And I'm not going to munch on snacks and stuff like that for however many days. Man, these things right here grow your willpower and give you the ability. Small items like this give you the ability to go ahead and face bigger goals, larger goals down the pipeline. Brother, take it.
Yeah, I think that's really cool is like these little actionables. I saw this video on Instagram the other day is like, you have to master the art of showing up before you can perfect your craft, So if you're not consistently showing up to put forth effort, and he described it, he painted the picture like this one guy he knows or knew about was this guy, he would just go show up to the gym and all he had to do was stay there for 5 minutes and he did like half of an exercise and then he left. Nice. And you might be like, well, hey, he's wasting time. That's stupid, whatever. But really what he was doing was perfecting the art of showing up.
Yeah.
And then, I'm doing a similar thing is like, I say, hey, Siri, set a timer for 15 minutes. And then I just read for 15 minutes. Like I can cut out all distraction and only for 15 minutes, just read.
Yep.
And I even read out loud to help me focus on what I'm reading. So I'm not just like looking at the page, like, what did I just read? I like to have fun with it. I'll do like an accent or switch the tone of voice, like almost like I'm acting it out, but like it helps me remember it. And then I'm also reading. So it's just little things. And then I find myself later in the day wanting to read more when I've already hit my 15 minutes for the day. And then it's like, that's the goal. It's like, we want to train in that zone of proximal development to where we're not overtraining. Because you
Yeah.
hear the stories about these guys. I'm gonna read a book a day.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna do that yet.
I'm not
Maybe not ever. Like, I'm just gonna start where I'm at. Love and appreciate where I'm at, but I want to grow and still like achieve. So what I'm gonna do is just start for 15 minutes.
Dude, that's hot. And the great Al Courtney taught me the same thing. 15 minutes, brother. You got to get us out of here, man. We could go longer.
I know.
This is our day where we do 1 hour and 11 minutes, and we're coming up on that 1 hour and 11 minutes. I think we got about 30 seconds left, 40 seconds. Take us out of here, baby. I hope somebody got blessed. Hope somebody got revived off of this and inspired. But take us home, man.
Yeah, man. If you're listening live with us, we appreciate you. And if you're listening down the road, we definitely appreciate you. If you will go like and subscribe. We're on Spotify and YouTube at Savage Will 1111.
Thank you. Hey, George.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Vampire assassin. What is it? Vampire energy vampires. I love that, man. I own that now.
I need to see some of those pictures of you in the prime.
Oh, dude.
Pumping weight down.
Oh, man. I'm going to send you a picture later on today.
Let's do it. All right, man. Take it easy.
Later.
We'll see you next week.
Next week, man.